Hey everybody, it's Treatment Thursday, so I am back at the hospital. Just had my labs drawn, so I'm waiting on that to get processed before they take a look and tell me that I can check in for my infusion. So last week, things went really well with infusion. There were no deviations. Everything went right as far as adjusting the dosage at the right time. In fact, the person from the clinical trials unit came and she sat with my nurse at the infusion center to make sure that everything's done right, and that there were no additional issues or questions. So hopefully that will mean everything goes smoothly going forward now that they've gone through the process and understand how to do it right. The one thing that did happen is that they shortened my time for infusion, like I said, from 3 hours to 2. And what I found was that it ended up making me feel more nauseous. And that was a new side effect that I had not experienced previously with this drug. So before I head into infusion this time, I will sit down with the coordinator and talk about what side effects have I experienced, what's going on. So I'll definitely share that. And I think I'm going to ask for the longer infusion time because even though it means an additional hour in the chair, it means that I won't have that nausea. And it didn't hit right away. It was interesting. I got home and after maybe in 45 minutes, half hour, something like that, I started feeling just kind of ucky. And so, I ended up just resting and it went away by that night. So it didn't last long, but it's, something that is unnecessary. I don't need to go through that if we just extend the infusion time. So that's also good feedback for them to know, thresholds in understanding what's the optimal setting for infusion times. Just is it better to just go ahead and do the 3 hours or 2? So remembering that things are different for person to person, so the more information that they have at this point, the better. It'll also help them with when they're trying to present results. That way they know what is a general side effect that most people experience versus what is an outlier. And a lot of times I've been an outlier. Somebody asked, how's my energy level been? It's been great. Honestly, it feels like I'm not even in treatment on my off treatment days. So it's really cool because I can go out and run my errands. And yeah, I'm a little more tired at the end of all that. But like yesterday, I had a big day. I had PT in the morning, and then we had a new dog trainer come in to walk Heimdall for the first time. Now, this dog has never been on leash, and he's 90 pounds of just big, goofy excitement. So I was really excited to see how well he responded to the trainer. But it means that I walked, up the hill, down the block, and then back. So that was a lot. And then even after that, I went out and ran errands for a couple more hours. Came back and I was knocked down for the count. I ended up taking a nap for a couple hours, but the fact that I was able to do all that, it's pretty incredible to me. And to be able to do that without feeling like garbage. So, just this has been a good chemo break for me without completely being off treatment. So, that's another consideration for clinical trials is, it's a great way to kind of adjust and bend the tools to match what your needs are at the time, because at the time I really did need a break from chemo. It was making me feel so tired, so just out of it for too many days in a row. And it felt like by the time I got better, it was time to go back into infusion. So this has been a great alternative. I actually have scans coming up next week. And so we'll see a little bit more on how this drug is working for me. The last scans that I had were very quickly after the start of the infusion. So I'm hoping that this will show even better results because the initial scans that we had showed a little bit of shrinkage. So everything is going well. I've actually been thinking a little bit more about insurance, with this being kind of the end of the year-ish where people are starting to get their options to look at for insurance. And for me, I was able to get on Medicare because of disability. And before I went on Medicare, I thought I really knew everything and understood what I needed to about my plan. My brother-in-law has so much extensive knowledge of Medicare versus, just regular commercial insurance and covered California plans. There's so many options out there. So I really thought I understood. But last year, one thing that I learned was, although a lot of the things that I have are covered, physical therapy is a good example because it's a palliative care thing for me. It helps me function from a day-to-day basis. I've said that a lot about my PT. They're incredible people. They've done tremendous things to help me. And the thing is that it said in the plan that it was covered. One thing I didn't learn until things actually went to practice, though, was when I went on Medicare, my physical therapist said that every X number of visits that I had with her, while it is technically covered, we had to do assessments. And that is something that I didn't have to do on covered California plans previously. So those are some of the little differences that you don't get to know sometimes until you jump into the plan. So yes, it's covered, but every few sessions, I have to do an assessment to make sure that it is still beneficial, that I am still gaining things, functionality on it. Otherwise, if there's no benefit to it, then it's not going to get covered. So it's really important to know things like that. When you're looking at plans and you're comparing, aside from cost, because obviously cost is expensive, but you need to look at some of the ancillary services. When you're looking at PT, how many visits does it cover? Because some plans don't have unlimited, and it means that if you're going there regularly, you're going to have to start paying out of pocket sometimes. Other things are going to be like acupuncture. Some plans cover it, some plans don't, but I'm starting to see more consistency, I think, in it being an optional coverage. So where they're not paying for all of it, but they might be paying for, a chunk of it. So take a look at those things and see, in a total cost of insurance, what does it matter to you? Is it, what matters to you most? Excuse me. Is it important for you to have a low copay, or is it important for you to have a high out-of-pocket max for that low copay? Because everything is a give and take. It's a trade-off. In terms of total cost of insurance for the year, what I have discovered is that the silver plan on Covered California usually ends up being the lowest overall. So when you're considering things like your monthly premium and your total out-of-pocket max, I know, as many other patients will know, that I'm going to hit my out-of-pocket max every single year. So that means once I hit that, everything is covered after, right? So I usually take that full amount, and then the cost of my total premiums for the year, not just month to month, but for the year, and I add those together. And that will tell me basically how much am I going to be paying for the full year. And regardless of what my month to month cost is going to be, that's going to tell me what's going to be the overall cost that's lowest in the year. And like I said, I found that the silver plan on Covered California seems to be the lowest. So if you're confused and just kind of want a guiding principle, that's a middle of the road where it's not the highest out-of-pocket cost. It's not the lowest co-insurance or copay, but it works out to be lowest overall. So if you're just still unsure, middle of the road seemed to work for me. But again, just check to make sure that all the important parts of your coverage that you need are covered. Otherwise, you might end up on a plan where you're paying out of pocket for service that you didn't know are not going to be available to you. So I'll probably do a little bit more on insurance in a future live, but for now, I just wanted to get that kind of in your head to think about. The other thing I wanted you to be thinking about is, at this point in the year, as I said, many of us will have hit our out-of-pocket max. So just make sure that if you have, you're armed with that knowledge going into an office visit, because a lot of times they don't have the up-to-date information available to them on their chart. And so like when you go in and check in, they automatically say, okay, you have X dollar copay or X dollar coinsurance. Would you like to pay it now? And the answer is no. Please verify my benefits because I have hit my out-of-pocket max. So just making sure that you're not paying additional money to the office, which then you're going to have to try to do this whole runaround to try to figure out, okay, who's going to reimburse me? Do I get that back from the office that I paid to? Do I get that back from my insurance company? In any case, it's kind of a pain in the butt to have to go and chase that down. And then if it's a smaller amount where you're just like, is that worth it? It may not be worth your time and you may just lose out on that. So be aware when you hit your out-of-pocket max, track that. It's important. Otherwise, you may be just going through some runaround or paying money so you don't need to. Okay, so like I said, I'll talk more about insurance in the future because I think that's important and it impacts a lot of us. And there's probably a lot of things that we don't understand about it. So if you have any questions, please DM me. I'm happy to answer those questions in a future cast and maybe just do a Q&A if you guys are interested. So let me know if that's something you'd like to do. And I'm going to be heading back to check in for my day hospital infusion. So I'll catch you guys later. Bye, guys. Have a great week.